এভরিওয়ান, সবাইকে বিজয় দিবসের অনেক শুভেচ্ছা। ওয়েলকাম টু আওয়ার পডকাস্ট সেশনস। আমাদের সাথে আছে Ashna Aziz. She's from Cornell University. Thank you, Ashna, for joining with us.
Of course.
I guess we can start with your maybe school, high school, and childhood. How was Ashna as a student in high school? And what
Mhm.
was little Ashna's aim in life?
Ever since playgroup, I've been in Sunbeams throughout middle school and high school. I've been in Sunbeams. I think little Ashna wasn't that great of a student. I was always pretty average, but Sunbeams was a lot of pressure as well, a lot of academic pressure. And I think that kind of forced me to study harder in grade 9 because everyone was very focused about college and where they'll end up. I was never the class topper, to be honest, but I realized that I wanted to be the best version of myself. So I started working harder, and it was not easy, but I would need to probably go through things multiple times, whereas maybe the class toppers would just go through something once or twice. But I feel like hard work and consistency is the key, which helped me to get into Cornell. Also, ever since I was little, I think my family has always been like half of my family are either doctors or bankers. And my dad is a banker himself. So I think that really inspired me to study business, accounting, so I took that in my A levels. I took business, accounting, and pure maths. And now I am in ILR, which is industrial and labor relations in Cornell. It is a unique major because you get to explore a lot of different fields, such as economics, law, policy, as well as business. I wanted to study something which has some sort of impact. And I feel like since Bangladesh has such a growing population, but the labor force is so much exploited. I always wanted to learn more about social business and how I could improve their lives, which is why I chose ILR instead of the normal business school at Cornell. Because I get the best of both worlds, I feel. But my journey to Cornell is a bit unique as well. So I don't know if most people know about the guaranteed transfer option. I myself did not know about the guaranteed transfer option. I actually applied to Cornell for early decision. I got deferred, and then I got deferred to the regular pool. And in regular pool, I was again waitlisted. And then I was waiting to see if I'll be accepted or rejected. And eventually, I got this email saying I got the guaranteed transfer option. I did not know exactly what it meant, but it means that very few students get that. And by luck, I somehow got it. For my major, I only needed a 3.3 GPA in any university in my freshman year and take a few classes that Cornell wanted me to take, such as a writing class, a science and technology class, or micro or macro. And we had this advisor from Cornell who worked with us the whole year in our freshman year. And he's the reason like I am at Cornell as well. Like he helped me so much with my credit transfer. And I'm just very lucky that I got that option. And since Cornell was my dream school, I decided to leave my previous institution for Cornell. I went to UIUC, University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, at the Geese Business School. It's a very good school, and I really enjoyed my time over there. I made a lot of friends, and it's a top 12 business school as well. So if anyone's very interested to join Geese or UIUC, feel free to reach out. But since Cornell was my dream school, I decided to transfer eventually, even though it was a very difficult decision to make. And like UIUCG's business school is also a great school, which is top 12 for business. I got the opportunity to meet Steve Forbes at Geese, and I got to work with Caterpillar in my freshman year. So it's a very good school as well. Yeah. So that's my experience and how I got into Cornell.
Great. So that's a bit of a journey. So do you have any mentor or role model who guided you during your educational journey? And how did they impact your choices or success? Do you have anyone?
So my parents, they both studied in USA and did their undergrad and masters and worked there for 15 years. So initially, at the beginning of the application process, it was them who were like guiding me, but my dad eventually realized that the application has changed drastically. So we were lost. I was lost because there's so many parts to it. It's not just like having a good grade is the only thing that matters. So that's why I joined Titan, and my mentor was Navid Paya, and he is such a great mentor. I think without his guidance I would not be able to organize everything or just like have a very solid application. Before that I was just very confused. I did not know what certain universities wanted. It was through him that I got to realize that different universities want different things. I think not only that, I realized to network. He told me to get out of my comfort zone and network and talk to current students in Cornell or other universities I was actually applying to. He told me to reach out to them, find out what that major is all about, and see if that really resonates with me as a person. So it was just not like I am picking this. It was not like the school is going to accept me. It was not just that. It was like I am also figuring out which school would be suitable for me as well. And I think that was very important. It's not just about which rankings or stuff like that. But I think the recommendations he gave regarding which extracurriculars I should do, I think that was very important. He told me to focus on extracurriculars that was related to what I planned on majoring in. I think that hit me really hard. And I did not really realize the importance of extracurriculars until I talked to Navid Bhaiya, because I used to think I had this idea in my head that it's all about your grades, but it's not. There's so many elements to the application, your extracurriculars, your essay, your recommendation letters. And I think with his guidance I was able to figure out which extracurricular would be helpful for me in the and also show what I'm really interested in. For example, I did this internship at Shanta Asset Management, and I think I learned so much. It was like 2 3 months, but I learned a lot about financial accounting. At the same time, I did a volunteering work where I was able to show leadership, and I joined Shoyong, which is a nonprofit organization, which so through storytelling, they actually dismantle social injustice. And I got to meet wonderful people who try to fight for women's rights. And I think that really changed my perspective. And also, since like law is a part of ILR, which is my major, I think it really helped me to find a balance between business and also like my other like interests, which is like law and also like women's right. So I think through the extracurriculars I was able to find a meaning in what I want to do in college and after college. And most importantly, like I'm usually an introvert, and I always found it very weird to just randomly reach out to people who are in certain colleges. But I think Navid Bhaiya told me that you really should. And he made me come out of my comfort zone, and I got to talk to Sakib Bhaiya and Afnan Bhaiya, who are alumni for Cornell. They also went to ILR Cornell. So I think through them, I learned a lot. And now I'm more comfortable just talking with anyone. I think it has helped me grow a lot as a person as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. Speaking of college application processes, what key steps or strategies did you find most valuable when you were navigating the college application process? How did you start the whole process, or just you can share your experiences?
I think I realized that the key to good application is to start early and plan ahead. I think when you plan ahead, you're able to come across opportunities such as extracurriculars, which would be very beneficial. And I did struggle because I did not realize the importance of extracurriculars until 10th grade. I wish I started a bit earlier, maybe 8th grade, so that I could show more continuity or growth over time. But also, I think it's very important to have a routine life. I know it's very difficult to have a routine life while you're giving your exam for your 11th or 12th grade and at the same time doing your application process. It's very stressful, but I think having a strategy or just planning beforehand, it's very important, but at the same time it's very important to be consistent with your schedule, or else you're just going to have a hard time and you're going to procrastinate and you'll just feel too much overwhelmed. But at the same time, like having a repetitive schedule can be very stressful and it can lead to people feeling burnt out. I myself had days where I was just feeling so tired because you don't know what your outcome would be eventually, right? It's literally luck, I feel, at the same time. So it's just, it can be very demotivating if you think it that way, but I feel like at the end of the day you did your best, and as long as you try hard and research and just plan ahead, that would help you to achieve a good, what is help you to achieve success in this. Just plan ahead, I think, and strategize. That's what I figure is important.
For high school students who is preparing for the college applications or aiming for higher studies within 1 or 2 years, so do you have any suggestions or books or resources you find most valuable for you, and why?
So read I actually went test optional because I applied during COVID. Even though I studied for a year for SAT, it was getting canceled. So I went test optional. But I feel if applicants get the chance to give their exam, I think they definitely should. And another resource I used was College Guy Essential. I think it helped me to come up with the format for my essay. And I also used this book by Princeton Review of the best 386 colleges. I think even though you can find all of those information online, I think when you have a book in front of you, you can compare between universities and it's easier to shortlist. And you can also read like what the college life is like, or more about their admission process and stuff like that. And so those are the main resources I used during my college application. I think it helped me shortlist because I was able to compare. It was very easy. Another resource would be just to go to LinkedIn and find people who are maybe current students at your favorite, at your dream school or any other universities you're planning to go to, and just reach out. And you might just get to learn a lot about your college. And also, you can write about that experience in your supplemental essays. I wrote about my interaction with Saki Paya and Afnan Paya, who are Cornell alumni. I wrote about my experience in my supplemental essays as well, regarding that interactions we had. And other resources, I feel like if you have someone to guide you, I think that would be very helpful. If you can join an organization like Titan or any other place where you can get your essays reviewed, I think that would be very helpful.
As you have mentioned, you regret not joining SCS, doing SCS earlier in your school life. What guidance would you offer your high school self as you prepared for college applications?
I think there were many times I was too overwhelmed and I started a bit late on my extracurriculars because I used to think grades were the most important things. I wish I started working on my extracurriculars a bit earlier. I think that would have made it more valuable. But at the same time, I wish I told myself that I should take more breaks and relax a bit more, even though it is hard because there's so many things going at the same time. It's important to take some breaks or else you will be burnt out. But I think overall, I think it helped me to compartmentalize. And I use that even in college because in college, there's so many things happening around you. You have to balance friends, living alone, and studying. So I think the college application process in high school helped me do that, but I really wish that I started working on my extracurriculars beforehand and reaching out to people. Yeah.
All right. Do you encounter any common myths or what common myths about college admissions you'd like to clarify? Is there any?
Oh, for some reason, your voice is getting a bit cut.
Oh, sorry. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Okay, so what common myths about college admissions would you like to clarify? Did you encounter any?
Yes, I did. The first one, I think I myself experienced is that it's all about your grades. It is not. There's a lot of elements such as your essay, extracurriculars, and I would really suggest like applicants to sign up for interview slots if by any chance they do get. I think that is something very helpful because you can actually show people at that university that you're really interested. And I really found that really helpful. So I really wish that people don't really think that these interviews are unnecessary and they won't really remember you. They actually will, and they will write down your name and they will go back and refer back to it. I think that's one thing. Another thing is that you don't need to be a class topper to get into good schools. I think growing up, I struggled a lot with that. I was never the best student in my class. I think I was pretty average, but if you work hard, I think you can achieve anything. So I really hope people don't let other people's perceptions like stop them from achieving great things. I think that's something a lot of Bengalis here face because people tend to look down and say that, oh, you're just average, you won't be able to get in. I suggest you all try. I think students should have equal amount of top schools, like at the same time have like safety schools or have a more balance, but at the same time try to go for top schools because you never know because it's up to luck at the end of the day.
Yeah, so getting back to the college application process, how did you approach your writing college application process and what tips and tricks you used or resources you have used that were impactful for you?
So the college essay process was very difficult for me, but I started really early. I think I wrote my Common App essay for about 9 to 10 months. I started with something, but then I wrote 10 or 12 different other essays, like completely different. And the final product is actually very different from what I wrote initially. I really hope students can just explore and try to find their unique selling point. It might be very difficult, and it's better if students start earlier. Another thing I would suggest, go online and search up students' essays that were successful. I think if you read other people's essay that are posted online, I think that would be very helpful because you get an idea of what you could write or how you should write. Because when you start, it might be a bit confusing and you might not know what is the standard. So I suggest people read other people's essay and also try to get different feedback from multiple people. Don't just stick with one or two people. It's very important that you get feedback from maybe five people because everyone's thought process is different. So I think it's very important when you write something, it's very important you keep all of these aspects in your mind and then go for writing. And yeah, I think that's how the process went for me. It can be very stressful, but I think just keep on rereading and rewriting the same thing, or try to write different things that you feel is unique. Yeah.
Do you have any habits that boosted your academics or personal success during your college or high school life?
I think for me, I've always had a schedule. I like to have a routine, and I really like to follow it. And most importantly, I feel it's important to have a schedule, and but at the same time it's important to be consistent, because if you're not consistent, that there's no point of having a schedule or a routine. But when you have a routine, I think it helps you plan for success, or just because the application process has so many elements to it, it's hard to compartmentalize at times. So if you plan ahead, that's something I do. But at the same time, it's important to understand that we are all human beings. We are not robots, and we can't just keep on going through the routine every single day. So it's very important to take some breaks. It could be by talking to your very good friend. For me, I really like working out. I think it helps me to de stress and calm down a bit and then go back to my routine. I feel like if you procrastinate and think of doing things at the last minute, you might not have a successful application. So I feel planning beforehand will help you anywhere in life, be it in high school or college, or I feel like even at work, I think if you plan beforehand, you might be able to have a more balanced work life. I think that's the key.
Like, how did you manage your academic life and extracurricular activities? And what lessons can students learn from you?
I think my application process took place during COVID. I think that gave me a little bit of an advantage because I did not have to travel to go to my coaching or to my school. So I think that gave me more time. But I think it's important to it's very difficult. I think it's very difficult to balance, but I feel like maybe during your summer or your winter, maybe you could do some more extracurriculars at that time when you have a break. I think if you can separate it a bit and compartmentalize and maybe join an organization that is flexible. For example, when I did my internship at Shanta Asset Management, I was there for 2-3 months, but it was during my summer break. So I think that way I was able to balance my academic life a bit. And then I did Shoyong for almost 2 years. I wrote articles and I would tell them beforehand that I have an exam at this time. So is it okay if I take this week off, but at the same time continue both of them? I think if you can have an organization where you can like clearly communicate with the owners or anyone who is in charge of it, I think that is something which was very helpful. It just you have to be open to talking to them and telling them that I my schedule is pretty busy, but I would need some help figuring it out, or else it's going to be too much for me to handle because I do have an exam and I am a student. I suggest clear communication and maybe doing your main extracurricular events during your breaks. That's what I would suggest. Um,
How did you choose between which college or university was best fit for you as you're in one institution before, and what advice can you offer to the prospective student?
I feel I feel so I can show you the book I used. So I used this book, The Best Colleges. I used this book and you can see I have a lot of notes taken. I feel like you shouldn't just focus on rankings or which one has the best reputation. I think you should you can get a book like this. I think that really helped to me because I was able to see the pros and cons of every single university that I was very interested in. For me, I did not really have much of a preference when it comes to big school or a small school. Some people may want a small school or a big school. For me, I never really had that type of a preference. I was fine. I just wanted to go somewhere where there is diversity because I love meeting people from different corners of the world. So that was a big criteria for me. And also a place which has where there is a good business school or any major that is has some elements of business or humanities or law. Of course, I feel like such books can help you because when you're looking online, it's so easy to get lost and people it's just very easy to get lost and confused. But if you can have a book like that, you're able to be more organized and you can see the pros and cons. I was always told that Cornell is very depressing. That's what I've always heard. But when I went to Cornell, it's actually very beautiful. It's very scenic and there's a lot of natural beauty to it. So I feel like it's just a matter of what you like. I think for me, I really the fact that I have a waterfall right next to my dorm, or someone might like cities. So it's just important to figure out what you prefer over just the rankings. Yeah.
Right. So I think they have a question. What's your secret to staying authentic in your college essays and not sounding like everyone else?
Okay. Yeah, I did struggle with that a lot, which is why I wrote multiple essays and I read multiple successful essays. But I think the secret to staying authentic is figuring out what your unique selling point is or what is unique about you that might give you an advantage over other people. It could be an experience you had. It could be so for my instance, I wrote about this little girl who helped me grow up. She was my nanny. I wrote about her and just how I got to experience I got to learn so much from her experiences. So I think you could write about something that is very personal to you and that will set you apart from other people. Like I wrote about her and just how like it's I know it can be difficult to sound like everyone else and generalize, but I think if you keep on rereading, you will find a way. But I feel like personalizing it is the best way to staying authentic. And if you can have and I feel like you shouldn't brag much about yourself, but instead try to sell yourself. I think that's very important. Like you could talk about maybe the good traits you have. Maybe you are motivated. Maybe, for instance, you understand people from different backgrounds. You're not bragging about yourself. You're just telling people this is a good side of mine. So I think that way you can be able to be more authentic, but at the same time, just personalize it.
I think that was helpful. So if we talk about challenges in foreign countries, what were some unique challenges that you have faced and how did you overcome them
You mean in USA?
as an international student?
Okay. I'm actually advantaged in the fact because I feel like I'm actually a dual citizen. I feel blessed that I got that opportunity, but I'm still considered an international student. I'm not, because I did my high school in Bangladesh. So overall, I think I don't have to get a visa or anything. I think that way I'm very blessed. I've seen many friends of mine struggling to get a visa, and it just breaks my heart to see them struggling so much with it. But I feel as an international student, I think it's so different than living in Bangladesh. You're all alone. You have a roommate who you don't know, who's from a different part of the world. Like my roommate, she's Hispanic. And we learned so much from each other. And I absolutely love that. But it could be difficult because you're, first of all, staying so far away from your parents. It's very easy to get homesick. So I would suggest that, like, it's very important you find things that you enjoy doing. Maybe find a group of people that are like family to you, or maybe join a club. For instance, when I get stressed out about academics or just in general, I'm feeling homesick, I would just go to this dog service club and just pet the dogs. So that's how I find my balance. But yeah, it is very difficult. But at the end of the day, it's something very rewarding. I think it helps you grow tremendously as a person. You learn to be independent, and it's difficult. There has been times like I've been super stressed and depressed, but it's just part of it. And at the end of the day, it's worth it. You become stronger. So
And another thing is it also enriches your understanding of different cultures, different people and perspectives. So can you share some insights and stories about this, considering your experiences?
my roommate, she's Hispanic and I'm Bengali. She's a Catholic. I'm a Muslim. We constantly share our experiences and how different it is, like how different our parents are, or how different our schools were. Like her school, she went to a public school, I went to a private school. Her school was more easygoing, whereas mine was very strict. And just like the general things, just like how Bangladesh is a growing economy, I think I'm able to learn a lot about Puerto Ricans and just like how the Hispanic community has grown over in the last few years in USA. And there's so many people on my floor in my dorm. I have this friend, she's from Greece. I have this friend from Russia. You get to learn about people and their experiences on a deeper level. And at the same time, you get to share your experiences. I got to talk about my country. I think most people don't really know, unfortunately, about Bangladesh, or but I think through me, I could, share my perspective and just what Bangladesh is like. And I think it's a great opportunity. Yeah, I think. But most importantly, I think when you meet diverse people, I think you get to become more empathetic and learn and understand people from their shoes. I think it helps you to become more open minded and more accepting of others. And I think that is very important. I think people tend to judge others and there's so much hatred out there. But when you're in a diverse community, you are more broad and open minded. And I think that's very important.
Yeah. As an international student, building a support network is very important while you're studying abroad. So, how did you establish a support network, or what did you do alongside your study doing undergrad?
So I think having a roommate is very important when you just start at a college or at a new environment, because both of you are just confused and you don't know how things are like. I think me and my roommate found a lot of comfort in each other. Initially, both of us would just go to all the events together. We also have the same major, which is great, I feel. So we have the same classes, and I think we could relate a lot with each other. I think when you have someone like your roommate, I think it's easier to make more friends as well. You can approach more people and you feel more comfort. And I really wanted to meet new people through clubs. So I tried joining many clubs so that I could meet various people. I joined this real estate club and I made this friend. She's from London. And even though we are so different, I think it helped us build a community I was able to build a community through clubs or people who have the same major as me. I think another good thing about my major, ILR, is that the school is very small. So it's very close knit and you will make friendships easily because it's very small. So I find a lot of comfort in.
So I think as an international student, connecting with a club or organizations is more important, right?
Yeah. Another way you could is by joining maybe Bangladesh Student Association if you feel homesick, or maybe during Eid, if you're feeling lonely, you can obviously spend Eid with them. So that's another option, which would help you not feel alone and also build a community of like minded people. Yeah.
If you faced rejection from any college, so how did you cope with that, and what advice can you offer dealing with students were dealing with rejection?
So rejections can be very difficult. It can make you feel very demotivated. I myself felt very demotivated at times. Like when I got waitlisted or when I was getting deferred, I remember being very upset. But at the same time, I talked to myself over my head and make me try to motivate myself again so that I could focus on other universities that are still on my list. And I know it's very demotivating, but there are multiple opportunities out there. This is not your only opportunity, like getting into your dream school, this like at one go. You don't have to. You can also be a transfer student, or you can even go to your dream school during your graduate school. I think counseling myself by telling myself those really helped, but I think that's the way. I think if you tell yourself that this is not the only option I have, and I have many other options, like in grad school or transfer, I think you would be able to focus on what you're doing and on other colleges. I think if you realize that you have other options and other ways, that's when you can feel like you're not stuck. Even though it is hard, but at the same time, it is all about luck. So I understand that it's very difficult to handle all of these, but at the same time, it's very crucial to remember that there are thousands of people applying like you at the same time, and they're also facing the same thing. So you are not alone, and just think of other ways you can achieve your dream. Yeah.
We have Navid Haidar with us. Ashna is the best host. Of course, she is.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, what are the most frequent mistakes or misconceptions you observe among the students pursuing college admissions in Bangladesh?
I think people tend to focus more on their grades. I noticed that. I think that's the mistake the top students in my class made. They used to think, oh, I get the good grades. I'm all good to go. It's not like that. You should focus equally on your extracurriculars and essays. I think it's very important to not be overconfident. I've noticed that, oh, I've done this, I'm doing great. No, because you are competing with thousands of the best students around the world. So it's important to keep on reminding yourself that. Another mistake I see is that people do not really reach out to other alumni. I think it's very important to reach out and network because it would not only just help you in your college application, but also in your future work as well. So I really hope more students do that.
Now, an interesting question as we are end of the year. So, thinking of the first year, what's an investment or purchase under $100 that significantly benefited your personal or academic growth? So, is there any?
I think for me, it's the best 386 college book. For me, that was the thing for me because I think just reading about so many colleges, like it made you realize you don't have to just be that there are so many good schools in USA. It doesn't have you don't have to go to an Ivy League. I think there are because you have so many opportunities in USA and all of these colleges are equally as good and that you shouldn't focus on the reputation. I think that book gave me a lot of comfort. Yeah.
All right. Can we talk about your university? What led you to choose Cornell or academics at Cornell and the campus life and everything, and especially for international students?
Cornell, I think ever since 10th grade, it was my dream school. I I actually signed up for online sessions that many universities would have where they would have an information panel. Many universities do that. And I really hope like applicants go to those because I think those information panels will help you figure out which school you feel more connected to. I went to a lot of different universities information panels. I did not feel connected at all. But with Cornell, I always felt this connection, which is why I chose Cornell. I think it was through their information panel I felt like this is what I want to do. I want to do business at the same time, help other people, which is why I chose industrial and labor relations because like the labor force is a huge problem in Bangladesh. They are underpaid, they're exploited, especially women and children. And so I always wanted to do something which has an impact. And I feel like I would be able to use the tools at Cornell to help Bengalis. And I think it's very important you attend those information panels. Like, for instance, I went to the University of Michigan Ann Arbor information panel. I did not feel very connected, even though my dad went there. I did not feel much connected. I think it's very important you have a sense of connection wherever you're applying to.
Right. So I think we're at the end of the interview. So do you have any overall advice, especially for the overwhelmed students who are dealing with now with the admission procedures, applications, rejections, and everything? So any advices for them?
I would say that college applications are a very stressful period in your life. So it's okay to feel very stressed, but always remember that you have other opportunities and that you can always transfer or go to grad school. You can always reapply. So I I don't want any of you to feel upset. And I know the early decision applications just went out recently. And if you didn't get into your dream school, it's completely fine. There's regular applications or you can apply for transfer and grad school. So just keep those options in mind and just keep on fighting for it. I know all of you will make the best of it because yeah, and just try to take breaks. It's very easy to feel overwhelmed during such time in your life. And also reach out to people, ask for help, ask questions, ask alumni what they did or how they can improve. Ask questions. Never feel that you are you're dumb for asking questions. Always ask questions, always reach out, and just try to plan beforehand. I think those are my advice to all the applicants out there. Yeah.
Great. Someone commented, thanks, Ashna, for valuable guidance and great suggestions. Very impressive.
Thank you.
Okay, last question. Where is last questions? We are at the end of the interview. So, where is Ashna seeing herself in the next 5 years?
Hopefully, I can graduate from Cornell, and hopefully, I see myself living in New York City or Chicago and working for an investment bank or in the consulting field. That's where I hope to see myself. But at the same time, I also want to figure out a way to help the labor force in Bangladesh. I'm still in the process of figuring that out. And I really hope in the next 2 years at Cornell, I can find some way to do.
All the best for that. We have a question. How
Mhm.
to build a strong mindset to follow the roadmap towards successful application?
Yeah, just I think important to come up with a plan and start early, try to stay consistent, but at the same time, please do take breaks. That's very important. Or you will have a it's very difficult to be consistent always. So take breaks, do what you love. Maybe you could journal, maybe you can work out, maybe you can spend some time with the people you love, your family, your friends, and always just try to see what other people have done, I think, or and try to I think if you see other people and how they have used their platform or how they've used or what they've done during high school and college and how they are doing wonderful things after college, maybe they're I think it's very important to see what they're doing in the next 5 or 10 years. Maybe because if you see other people living their dream, that will encourage you to live your own dream. And at the same time, I suggest that do not ever compare yourself with anyone while you're going through this process. It's very easy to compare yourself with others, but don't try not to. I think that was very helpful. And never ever doubt yourself. I was never the topper in my class. I was pretty average, but I worked hard and then I got the grades I needed. If I can do it, I think anyone can do it. That's my advice.
Okay, of course. So that's was it. Thank you so much, Ashna. I think that was very helpful for the applicants, overall
Mhm.
students who are planning to go abroad.
Of course.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
And
inviting me.
who are watching, thank you so much too. We will come back with another podcast sessions with another international students, I guess in the next year. So till then, stay safe and stay sound.
Good night. Bye.